यमुना तीरा वनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जन वल्लभ
गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय अंशपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य सत्तर शत शिष्यमति श्रीमान् शरणारविंद भक्तिनाथ स्वामी जगत गुरु शर प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण को गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रज वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समावेत भक्त वृंद की जय ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे ओ ग्लोरियस assembled devotees oh glorious assembled devotees oh glorious assembled devotees glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Goprananda Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3rd, chapter number 1, questions by Vidura. Shuka Vacha
शुभवाच
Evametat Pura Prushto
एवमेन पुरा पृष्ठो
Maitreyo Bhagavan Akhila
मैत्रेयो भगवान् अखिल
Kshattaram Varnam Pravishtena
सतारं प्रविष्टेन
Tyaktva Swagraham Riddhimat
सर्वत्वा शोधनाभिधिमात्
Sri Shuka Vacha
श्रीशुकवाच
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said
सुखदेव गोस्वामी said
Evam
एवं
thus etat this pura formerly Prishtaha being asked Maitreya the great sage Maitreya Bhagavan his grace Kila certainly Kshatta by Vidura Vanam forest Pravishtena entering Tyaktva renouncing Swagraham own house Vriddhimat prosperous. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, after renouncing his prosperous home and entering the forest, King Vidura, the great devotee, asked this question of his grace Maitreya Rishi. Yadyayam mantra kruddho Bhagavan Akhileshwaraha Pavuravel graham hitva praviveshatma satkritam. Yet the house, why? What else is there to say? I am Sri Krishna Mantrakrit minister. You people, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Akhila Ishvara, the Lord of everything, Pauravendra, Duryodhan, Graham, house, Hitva, giving up, Pravivesha, entered, Atmasat, identified with oneself, Kritam, so accepted. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. What else is there to say about the residential house of the Pandavas? Sri Krishna, the Lord of everything, acted as your minister. He used to enter that house as if it were his own, and he did not take any care of Duryodhana's house. According to Gaudiya Achintya Vedaveda Tattva philosophy, anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is also Krishna. For example, Sri Vrindavan Dham is non different from Sri Krishna, Tat Dhama Vrindavanam, because at Vrindavan the Lord enjoys the transcendental bliss of His internal potency. Similarly, the house of the Pandavas was also the source of the transcendental bliss for the Lord. It is mentioned here that the Lord identified the house with His own self. Thus, the house of the Pandavas was as good as Vrindavan. And Vidur should not have given up that place of transcendental bliss. Therefore, the reason for his quitting the house was not exactly family misunderstanding. Rather, Vidur took the opportunity to meet Rishi Maitreya and discuss transcendental knowledge. For a saintly person like Vidur, any disturbance due to the worldly affairs is insignificant. Such disturbances, however, are sometimes favorable for higher realization, and therefore Vidur took advantage of a family misunderstanding in order to meet Maitreya Rishi. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshul Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namaha. I offer my humble respectful obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada, who has kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This verse is showing the intrigue. Parikshit was asking, why did Vidur give up the house where Lord Shri Krishna was considering as if his own, the place of pilgrimage where the Lord did the pastimes. They are the source for transcendental understanding. Right? Why Vidur has given up? It's a good question. But if you apply the Achintya Vedaveda Tattva, that is inconceivably simultaneously one and different. Vidur took a different look in order to give transcendental benefit for common men. They do not understand how the material world was created, how different, both favorable to the Lord and unfavorable to the Lord, they were treated by the Supreme Lord when He came as an incarnation. Was it a partial, superficial, or a transcendental activity? Whatever the Lord does is a transcendental activity. So, it cannot be justifiable that why do we give up Vrindavan? and go to all the places without fear to preach the glories of Lord Shri Krishna. So, achintya, it is inconceivable because bhakti is inconceivable. Bhakti itself is inconceivable, potency of the Lord. It puts you right in the association of Lord Shri Krishna. But if there is any external interference of our so-called materially trained intelligence and the desires of material life, they will come and obstruct. So we get confused and we do not get the answer. But we have to accept this particular philosophy of Achintya Veda, Veda Tattva. Anything which is favorable to the service of the Lord must be accepted. And a pratikulasya varjanam. Alright? Even though here the Pandavas' house is Anukul, but they were all pure devotees. And they have been given the huge burden after the Kurukshetra war to rule all over the world. Kunti shows that concern. There's such a task, my dear Lord, you have now put on our heads when we do not have any more enemies left. And now you want to go to Dwarka? That is not. So you can see material fact may be there, but we have to take the side of the desire of the Lord. And his pure devotees who can bind the Lord in prema pash, not sneha pash. Because a pure devotee like Kunti Devi was related to him, but regardless of that relationship, she knew Lord Shri Krishna. And she requests Lord Krishna to cut off the relationships from both the sides, Pandu side and so she can be liberated and think only of him and nobody else. Because he is the primal Lord and he is the one who protected her. Otherwise she has to do all the, unsocial activities. Unsocial. To bring in demigods to beget the children. And she just tried out of curiosity to produce Karna and then let him be swept away in the currents of Ganges. These are unsocial behavior. But she had to do it. Because Krishna protected and Krishna chalked out the path for Kunti, similarly for everyone else. But Kunti understood, others did not understand much. Yudhishthira understood. Arjuna had difficulty. So Bhimsen has difficulty. But they respected. So in the house of Pandavas, Lord Krishna was the most prominent figure, not conventionally, not socially, but Krishna accepted the role as their mentor. They were so faithful to him. They were very dear devotees of Krishna, and how can Krishna leave them? So Krishna considered Pandava's house as his own. All these things are then Vidur knew. Vidur was staying with Dhritarashtra for his benefit. it was a big house and there were certain sections, but Vidur was on the side of the Kauravas. So it's the same house where Pandavas and Kauravas were staying together, and Krishna was in the house, but to the side of the Pandavas. And Vidur was on the other side. So when Vidurji knew this, yet he left on the pretext of Duryodhana's insult. You know, he took up Vanaprastha. He thought to go in jungle. So Parikshit naturally has the question. Since Krishna was present, it was a transcendental place. Why should Vidur go away? No, Vidur wants to spread the glories of Sri Lord Krishna and put forward about the purpose of the whole creation is to execute the desire of the Lord only. So how the Lord has created and how the living entities come and go in this temporary material world, what kind of education they should receive in human form of life, that they will also make a successful journey in the human body form. All these questions are very important that glorifies Lord Shri Krishna, simply because he created this material world. Krishna is everywhere, even in the material world. Andantarasta Paramano and Govindamadi Purusham Tamam. So the concept of Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva is very important. All the philosophers, starting from Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of them took this principle of inconceivable but simultaneously one and different in understanding the absolute truth, in understanding the desire of the absolute truth. Who can reflect what is the desire of the Lord? Unless pure devotees executed that particular path of pure devotion, they knew. So, when apparently this question is asked by Vidura, that what was the necessity for Vidur to go out of his home, give up, and took Vanaprastha? Well, he is of the age. His devotion is taking him for a better purpose that he could stay within the ashram and serve. Duryodhana's insult was there. That is a pretext only. Do you think Vidur, a pure devotee, is going to take Duryodhana's insult? Do you think Vidur, a pure devotee of the Lord, who is going to take an insult of Duryodhana? Is serious? No. But yet he took the opportunity for the benefit of all the persons about the glories of the Supreme Lord. And who could be the best? Vidur remembers, when after this war was over, Vidur comes, but he was insulted by Duryodhana prior to the war, all right? So he had to go out, but he came back because Dhritarashtra and Gandhari were still living in the house of their enemy, called Yudhishthira. So to kick them out, he came and did the job. Right? But at the same time, Krishna was also departing. So Krishna was giving instructions to Uddhava in Balka Kshetra. You know. And Uddhava met after receiving instructions from Krishna. Krishna Suvadama Upagate, he left. But Uddhava had to see Maitreya Muni. Uddhava had to see the Vidura. Because Krishna gave instruction, tell Vidura to see Maitreya Muni. While Uddhava and Krishna were discussing, Maitreya Muni was also hiding behind the tree, and was trying to listen. He was not a pure devotee like Uddhava, but yet he was expert in understanding the intricacies of Lord Shri Krishna and creating of the material world. He is a Muni, a great philosopher, science, like that. So, Maitreya Muni was not paid attention. Krishna knew he is there, but he talks only to his intimate servants. Maitreya was not jealous of Uddhava. Why Krishna is not paying attention? No, he was very good. Because Lord Krishna knew that he will be there. So Krishna instructed Uddhava to see Maitreya, to Vidur, to go to Maitreya, say how to the level, as a student of Maitreya Muni. All right? Regardless, we have pure devotee, devotional service and everything is there, but to execute the service of Lord Shri Krishna, you have to follow his order in hierarchical level. Hierarchical level. Krishna told to Uddhava, Uddhava tells to Vidur, like that. Even though Maitreya Muni was there, he could have answered, my dear Lord, you know I'm here. Yes, I will preach, I will tell the way you deserve. But no, respect. He can't interfere. So, Maitreya was witness for the instructions of Uddhava to Vidurji. So, even though we may know what Krishna wants us to do, but yet we have to follow in a very respectful hierarchical situation. Srila Prabhupada says yes, but there is also simultaneously that you have a right to approach Krishna directly. If you want to become instrument in the hands of Lord Krishna, you have to surrender, right? And it's not that, Guru will not tell you, when I order you surrender. No. Krishna's direct order is there, Sarva Dharmana Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vrajam. So if you are desirous to surrender to Lord Krishna, you go directly. But make sure nothing obstruction between your relationship with your Guru. You follow? So it is simultaneously oneness as well as difference is there. We have been given right to choose but to glorify Lord Shri Krishna. Because after all, Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. So we have to respect. And this philosophy can, the only one that will justify, how do we understand the absolute truth. Absolute truth is simultaneously one, but can be understood in many facets, different facets. So, difference doesn't mean opposite to it, but Krishna is encompassing, embracing each and every facets. Is such a diamond. Even good and bad will be considered equal to Krishna. Alright? But devotional service is exceptional. And Krishna inclines only for devotional service. So taking it for granted from whether he is a pure devotee, he wants to execute this service by going to Maitrimuni and ask pertinent questions regarding the truth behind this creation of the material world, maintenance and dissolution, who are responsible, all the nitty-gritty details that is been told. But the principle of Achintya Vedaveda remains. Every explanation is centered around Achintya Vedaveda Tattva. Mayavadi Bhasya also came around Achintya Vedaveda Tattva by Adi Shankara. But he interprets differently. So Ramanuja. And from Ramanuja Sampradaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two important things. One is Achintya Vedaveda Tattva, and other is the worship method of Agama Shastra or Pancharatrika Vidhi. They were the one to introduce Pancharatrika Vidhi. So that has been accepted, but they believe that Narayan or Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna is Avatar. Alright? But we differ through our Achintya Vedaveda Tattva philosophy. Rupa Goswami is telling, no, Krishna, because this is the statement of Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam, this is called Mahavakya. And Mahavakya is centering around all the different explanations that Rupa Goswami gave in Laghu Bhagavatamritam to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not Narayan. So you can see Achintya Vedaveda Tattva, that inconceivable, but simultaneously one and different philosophy. Ordinary people cannot conceive, but yet there are pure devotees. Krishna respects their mood of worship, in their relationships, everything. So, understanding that particular part, but for the common people, what path should be accepted? So even in Ramanujacharya Sampradaya, there is sannyas and other ashramas there, but they engage common people only in archana. Only archana.
Beyond that.
Archanam, pujanam, vandanam. These are the Brahmanical activities, and Vaikuntha is the only place where they can, ultimate desire can be fulfilled there, in 4 kinds of muktis and everything. So that is the limit. But it also gives an opportunity for Tattvavadi Madhvacharya's philosophy to be accepted as eternal, Sanatan. So it is not different, but Sanatan Tattva has been explained by Tattvavadi Madhvacharya people. Alright? So they have also done this job on the basis of Achintya Vedaveda Tattva. Alright? It is accepted, but they became only Tattvavadi rather than pure devotion has to be cultivated. They do only awe and reverence. No other moods are developed, even though they recognize it. You know. Ramanuja also falls short there, yet they had received this Brahma Samhita, shows all different kinds of relationships are enjoyed. Right? So, amongst the Tattvavadis, under the same disciplic succession, Madhavendra Puri took Diksha from Lakshmipati, I think, who was very much renounced and meditating on the ultimate Radha Krishna Tattva, you know. So again, Achintya Vedaveda Tattva was there. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came under the influence. He accepted Ramanuja's Achintya Vedaveda Tattva and expanded and employed in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. But at the same time, Nimbark took Radha Krishna Tattva more important, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the holy name as more important, right? So in this way, all the philosophical variegatedness came about based on the simultaneously, inconceivable simultaneously oneness and difference philosophy is there. So that is Achintya Veda Tattva. Anything which satisfies the senses of Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is also Sri Krishna. That Prabhupada tells. Anything that satisfies the senses of Lord Shri Krishna is also Krishna. That is oneness. And that oneness is to be connected with Krishna in various favorable services that you can do. So Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam is not a monotonous thing, but in this particular verse, Srila Prabhupada is clarifying for this purpose, Vidur, who was insulted by Duryodhana, did not take it very seriously. Therefore it is said, he took the advantage of a family misunderstanding in order to meet Maitreya Rishi, because Krishna's order was there. So he utilized, even though an insult, to be a blessing. You follow? In the same way, all the curses that have been given by Narad Muni and so many exalted devotees has already proven to be most beneficial to draw them to Krishna's service. Nalakuber and Manigriv, they were cursed to become trees. And ultimately, Krishna will come and smash the trees and release them. So, a curse is becoming benediction. So, in this way, we should understand in any so-called controversial relation. This is not available to impersonalist Mayavadis because they are qualitativeless. Those who are personalist, they start with this philosophy. then you may say, why did Adi Shankara started interpreting this cardinal truth of Achintya Bheda Vida Tattva?
Yes,
Been
instructed to do it.
Yeah, because it is explained in the Shastras, the Vedic Shastra, and his job was to re-establish the Vedic authority.
After Buddhism.
Yeah. And after all, it is so confusing for those who are impersonalist that they don't have brain to enter into. The applications are no different than Krishna. The product of our devotional service, here it is said that anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Krishna is also Krishna.
Whereas at Shankaracharya, they don't have that philosophy.
So, unless and until one is engaged in bhakti, they will never get an accessibility to understand. Yes. So, bhakti becomes only not what you call a very stubborn, this is the only way bhakti can be done. No. The principles are strict, but how would you know that this is an act of bhakti? Is there any other motivations? Satish called me in the morning.
Yeah.
You know
I do.
that you can't build more than two-story building there.
Yeah, really right.
So, chana mana padi gaya. Anyway, there must be very active in finding the appropriate line. They should also approach Anujan, okay, tell them, and then please let us know. We have not yet found, we may not be relying on, but as soon as it becomes available, let us know. That message has to be conveyed, okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ram.